Hey travelers, welcome back. In this video, we're going to be going over all things international human rights. If you wanted to know whether or not you should pursue this career or if you should pursue studying for a career in international human rights, this video is for you. We're going to be going over several different topics, including education requirements, skills needed, the type of money you can earn, and the future outlook for this career field. Travelers, you want to stick to the very end because this video is jam-packed with information. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to subscribe and like this video for more. All right, travelers, are you ready? Let's get into today's video. What are human rights? Human rights are basic freedoms that everyone should have access to, regardless of race, gender, ethnicity, disability status, religion. No one should be discriminated against. Some examples of human rights include freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom to privacy, freedom to the right to be educated, freedom to the right to work. If you want to stand up for the world's most vulnerable populations, then consider a career in human rights. What are the education requirements for those that are considering a career in international human rights? Well, a bachelor's degree is certainly a must for this sector of international relations. Some things that you can major in include human rights, law, economics, communications, other types of social sciences like international relations, for example. It just depends on the type of international human rights work that you're doing. And for some jobs, they start at a master's degree. And even if the job does not start at a master's degree that they prefer, or they start at a bachelor's degree, they may be wanting somebody, or they may prefer that the candidate have an advanced degree such as a master's or a law degree. Some parts of international human rights, a master's degree is a must. In addition to education requirements like a bachelor's degree or an advanced degree, employers want to see that you have some sort of experience. And this experience in the human rights field can be from 2 years to 10 years of experience. Just note that volunteer experience may be able to count as well. What kind of experience do you need? Well, it depends on the position that you're going for. For example, say you're working for a human rights organization and you're going to be a research assistant. Employers may want to see some sort of qualitative or quantitative data that you know how to do and that you're able to work with statistical software. In the human rights field, experience is a must. You have to get out there, you got to get dirty, you got to roll up your sleeves, and you have to engage with people. You can't necessarily understand where people are coming from, the views of people, by just solely sitting in an office behind a computer. Those that have experience in this career field in international human rights have a better chance of landing their dream job. The human rights field in international affairs is a broad field, and depending what you're going to do depends on the type of skills that you're going to need. For example, if you are a human rights campaigner, you may need community mobilization skills and campaigning skills. If you're going into grant writing skills, you gotta be persuasive and you gotta know how to have grant writing skills in order to secure the bag. And if you're in information system, you're gonna need to be techie. You're gonna have tech skills. Regardless of your position or regardless of the type of work that you do in the human rights field, you're going to have a core group of skills that you need in your toolkit in order to be successful. Some of those skills are cross-cultural skills. You'll be interacting with people from different backgrounds and different walks of life, and you'll need to know how to be able to interact with them effectively in order to get your job done. Another skill are problem-solving skills. There are going to be a lot of issues and challenges that come across your desk, and you're going to need to know how to come up with creative and effective solutions in order to solve these problems. Emotional intelligence. In this field, you're going to be working with people that have gone through a lot of injustices and trauma. And your job is, in order to be effective, essentially, you're going to have to know how to empathize with others. Communication and advocacy skills. In this field, you have to be able to advocate for and on the behalf of others. And you have to be able to communicate your viewpoints and your messages succinctly to audiences. Being able to communicate effectively will help you be able to develop policies and solutions and essentially be able to impact the world. And lastly, analyzing data. In this career field, analyzing data is important. You're going to need to analyze data, evaluate evidence, and come up with conclusions and solutions to, again, change policies in the world. The human rights space is a very, very broad space. And to determine where you land, where you belong, You have to know who you are as a person and what are your interests. Looking at a broad perspective or the broad picture, what are some of the things that you are passionate about in helping to solve? Are you interested in women's rights, education, youth, law, the environment? And then what can you do? What are your skill sets? What are you naturally good at? Are you a very analytical person? Are you good at fundraising or grant writing? Are you good at teaching? These are some of the things that you want to take into consideration when you're determining where you want to go, including the type of environment. So, do you want to work for a law firm? Do you want to work for a nonprofit organization? The human rights field as a career field is very competitive. So, how do you get your foot in the door? As I mentioned before, for many jobs in this career field, you're going to need a bachelor's degree, and some might even start at an advanced degree, like a master's degree or a law degree. So how can you get your foot in the door? Well, there are several things that you can do, such as you can volunteer and intern. You can study abroad. You can learn a language. You can continue and further your education. I would also say to look past or look beyond big name organizations. Sure, you may have a dream organization that you always wanted to work with and work for, but sometimes there are places, even right in your own community, that have less competition, but you're still able to work on the human rights issues that you care about and make an impact on society until you work your way up to those big name organizations. As I mentioned before, the human rights field is a pretty broad field and there are many different things that you can do. For this video, I looked up actual career titles and they're pretty cool. Some things that you can do in the human rights field include being a grants writer, a legal policy advisor, a political affairs officer, a human rights lawyer, associate for disability rights, youth empowerment specialist, advisor for digital rights. Now that is pretty cool. Research fellow for religious freedom, and international training and assistance coordinator. All right, so now I'm going to touch on job satisfaction and work-life balance, because that is also an important part of the job. For many people in the human rights career field in this space, they do find their work rewarding because they are very passionate about what they are doing. They are working on issues that they care about, and they are able to help people around the world, and that is very satisfying. Also, in this career field, it gives you the opportunity to also work with other people who are also very passionate about what they're doing and believe in the mission. The ability to work on teams, to work with other people, those are things that contribute to high reward for this career field. I went to payskill.com, and payskill.com, they list a bunch of different jobs, how much meaning and satisfaction each of these jobs have for somebody who are working in these positions. And what I found was that for people who are social and community managers, they report at 82% high meaning, 76% high satisfaction. Social workers said that 73% of their jobs have high meaning, 59% high satisfaction. Human rights lawyer, for example, would be 42% meaning, 68% satisfaction. There wasn't exactly international human rights lawyer on the list, but lawyers in general. And then social and human services assistant, 62% meaning, 58% satisfaction. So overall, jobs in this career space, very meaningful and rewarding. However, there can be difficulties with the human rights career field in the sense that it can be draining because you're working on challenges and problems and you really want to do the best that you can, but sometimes it's very hard and sometimes it eats at you because you're constantly dealing with issues and problems. There are high levels of stress that you can deal with in this career field, bureaucracy, and those can some in positive feelings, but overall, for those in this career field, the pros outweighs the cons. In terms of work-life balance, those in the human rights career field tend to have a flexible schedule, flexible work-life balance compared to other career fields. In terms of work-life balance, it can depend on the location, the job, and the organization. Many in the human rights space have a flexible schedule, and thus this contributes to a positive work-life balance. How much will you earn if you're working in this career field? Well, it can depend on a number of different factors, including education level, type of experience, and how much experience you have, and where you're located, because if you're in a more expensive area, you may have a higher salary based on the living costs. I went to glassdoor.com and I checked out their blog about careers in international human rights. and the corresponding salaries of some positions in this career field. Now, disclaimer, this article is a couple years old, but it should give you a ballpark of the different salaries you can expect in this career field. For example, a human rights advocate is $50,000 for earning potential, a social and community manager $60,000, a program manager $76,000, a policy specialist $80,000, and if you're a director, you can earn about 6 figures. What is the future of this career field? Unfortunately, according to a report from Freedom House, a nonprofit dedicated to helping and fighting for human rights around the world, freedom is declining in 23 countries. The fight for human rights is still strong. What does this mean? We need you. We need you to help in the fight for human rights, to fight for a more global, just, and fair global society. Some issues that we can see in the future will be pertaining to refugees, technology, misinformation, attacks on journalists, gender equality. Because there is a decline in freedom around the world, there is room for advancement and there's room for job growth. We are going to need more people in the areas of litigation, policy, and of course, Is it worth it to pursue a career in international human rights? Should you study for this type of career? Well, it depends. This career can be challenging. It can be stressful. There can be bureaucracy, scarce resources, and the pay may not be as good as other careers. However, you have the chance to impact lives and have a positive impact on others, and that can be worth it in the end. It's up for you to decide. As I mentioned before, this career has high meaning and high satisfaction. All right, travelers, well, that concludes today's video. If you enjoyed this video and if you are pursuing or thinking about a career in international human rights, let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to check out my free e-course where I talk about all things careers in international affairs and how to travel boldly with confidence. If you haven't already, be sure to smash the subscribe button and smash that like button. Also, let me know future video ideas that you would like to see for more content like this. Travelers, as always, it's been a pleasure. And until next time, let's travel with our dreams together. See you later. Bye-bye.